Hello and welcome to the Anna Crawford Milner Archives and Special Collections screencast on the basics of doing archival research at the University of Montevallo. I am Carrie Heatherly, the University Archivist. The first place I would like for us to go is to the Carmichael Library homepage. That URL is libguides.montevallo.edu. If you can't find it that way, you can simply Google Carmichael Library, Montevallo, and it should be the first selection. So one thing I would like to make you aware of is there are several ways that you can get in contact with us in the event you need assistance with your research. The most common, or the easiest to use I should say, is we have a chat function, and we have someone at the Research Help Desk who monitors the chat function until 8 p.m. each night. If the screen with the chat function does not pop up, there's a green button on the right-hand side of the screen that says Chat with Us. You can click it to open a chat query. If you need assistance after hours, you can click an email form also right above the chat feature, and you can email us a question, and as soon as the librarians are back in the office the next day, we will start trying to answer that question for you. For this assignment and for your archival research, I want to point to several secondary sources which I think are crucial starting points for your project. The first thing I would like for us to do is go to the library catalog search box. The first book I would like for us to search is called White Columns and Red Bricks. And please remember to, when you're searching a title, to click the title radio button. White Columns and Red Bricks is one of the two histories on campus that Dr. Lucille Griffith wrote. Lucille Griffith was a longtime historian, and among her many research interests was the campus. And she wrote two books about the university. So what you will find in White Columns and Red Bricks is a history of the University of Montevallo buildings. In it, you will find a photograph of every building on campus up to its publication date in 1988. Along with the photograph, you will see a brief write-up on the history of the structure. You will also see a brief write-up about whom the structure is named in honor of, or in memory of. Also, one thing to point out is that we have all of these books in several places in the library. So, we have them in Archives and Special Collections, which you can request from me and use in my office. The reference collection on the main floor of the library also has copies of many of these works. The circulating collection, which is probably what you are most familiar with, that is the book on the shelf you go get, you take to the desk, you check out, and you bring back when you're finished. These go quickly, however. Finally, at the circulation desk, we have several copies on 1 hour reserve. So you just walk to the circulation desk, ask for a copy. They'll check it out to you for an hour. You can't leave the building with it, but you can check it out and make copies or scans or take cell phone pictures of the pages and the information that you need. And again, the call number for these is included in the record. The second book I would like for us to look at is called Alabama College. Alabama College is the second book by Dr. Griffith. This is more of an academic history. She goes back to the formation of the school, and then the actual school itself. And she covers the history from Alabama Girls Technical Institute all the way to the end of Alabama College. 1969 is the year that we transitioned to the University of Montevallo. Dr. Griffith did an excellent job, and she indexed her book really well. So you can find the names of buildings in the index. You can also find the names of the people the buildings are named for in the index. Years Rich and Fruitful was written by Mary Frances Tipton, a longtime Montevallian, and she published this book in 1996 to commemorate the first 100 years of the school. The book is sort of a coffee table style book, has a really great balance between text and images, and also a really good index. The final book I would like to reference is simply called Montevallo, and it is published as part of the Images of America series. And what you will find in this book is half the book dedicated to the campus, half the book dedicated to the town. It is more recent than the other works by quite a number of years. But you'll find lots of images you won't see in the other books, and they're also captioned. So you get a sense of what the images or what the structure is about. So the next place I would like for us to go is the Archives website. So across the top of the Carmichael Library homepage, you will see a series of drop-down boxes. If you click on the one that says Archives and select Archives Home, it will take you to the Anna Crawford Milner Archives and Special Collections homepage. The Archives and Special Collections here captures town history, but our main focus is on university history. We go all around town, campus, the state, we go out of state to get all things pertaining to the campus and bring them back here. One of the things we have been fortunate enough to do with many of the materials is acquire digitization funding. And we have a lot of the information that you need digitized. And I'm going to show you where those items live so that you do not have to hunt for them. You can go directly into the research. So the menu on the left-hand side of the page, the second selection is for digital collections. If you select it, one of the first things you're going to see on the page deals with yearbooks and bulletins. We have digitized yearbooks from 1907, the very first one, all the way up to 2010. We have digitized course catalogs from 1896 all the way up to 1969. Again, that transition from Alabama College to the University of Montevallo. So the first thing to look at is the yearbooks. So please select the Technala 1912 icon, and it will take you to a listing of our yearbooks in reverse chronological order. So one of the keys in doing archival research is being able to find out which year something happened or which year something was named or dedicated, and match that up with one of the years in the yearbook, for instance. If you're doing an older building on campus, I suggest using the 1921 yearbook. The 1921 yearbook contains one of the earliest campus histories. And one of the things I want to point out as you're doing your research is here on the left-hand side of the page, you'll see Reynolds Hall. But you'll see Reynolds Hall referred to as the chapel. Captain Reynolds did not die until 1920, and it wasn't until just a little after that they named the chapel after Captain Reynolds. Another example of this is our iconic King House. A man named French Neighbors bought the King House from the Edmund King family in the 1880s, and he lived in it until his death, and his wife sold it to the university in 1908 as our infirmary, as we needed a place to quarantine girls who were sick. So you'll see in this write-up, King House is referred to as the Mansion House. You'll also see King House referred to as Neighbors Hall, the Infirmary. At one point it was the Home Ec Demonstration House. It was the offices for the Department of Psychology. It wasn't known as the King House really until the 1970s, when it was registered as a National Historic Landmark. So be aware of that as you're going through your research, is sometimes you'll find Reynolds Hall referred to by a different name. You'll see King House referred to by a different name. So just be aware of that they sometimes weren't dedicated to the people we know them as until much later. The next thing I would like to show you is the course catalogs and bulletins. These older bulletins were published 4 times a year, the course catalog only being one of those publications. So the other 3 publications may have something to do with summer school. Here we have the Montevallo Review, which is a literary magazine that was published for a time. You will also see historical write-ups in the older ones, legislative write-ups about how the state government gave us funds to buy structures, to buy land, etc. If you were interested in food, if you're interested in our cafeteria, we have several menus available. We also have, here's a 1921 menu of what was served in the cafeteria, which at that point was in the basement of Main Hall. But you can also search our course catalogs. And course catalogs have a listing of all the faculty and staff and people like Anna Irvin, for whom the dining hall is named for now. Let's select the 1922 catalog. And you can see Anna Irvin, Bachelor in Philosophy, Food Supervisor. But you can also flip through these older catalogs, and it talks about the buildings that are available on campus. You can also flip through and see how much it costs for room and board. All of these are packed with really great information. Our final stop is newspapers. The first, the Alabamian, our campus newspaper, been published from 1924 to the present. We have them digitized from 1924 to the mid-1980s. So this looks exactly like the yearbooks and the course catalogs, and contains the same search functionality. Finally, we have the Mac Wyatt Digital Archive, and this is going to be town and county newspapers, and it works exactly the same as the yearbooks, the Alabamian, and the course catalogs. And finally, here are the covers of the books that I referenced earlier, and also pertinent links and contact information.